fragility to resilience, enhancing sustainable development. A major factor that inhibits sustainable development is conflict. In other words, you could say that peace is a prerequisite for sustainable development. Peace is a global requirement, but when focusing on South Asia, which homes over 1/5 of the global population, we can see there are a couple of major factors that inhibit sustainable development. One of these is the tense relationship between neighbors India and Pakistan, and the other is the geopolitical rivalry between the US and China, which has a large impact on the whole of the South Asia region. Today we have with us Tahir Aziz, who works for an international peacebuilding organization, Conciliation Resources. Tahir Aziz has over 20 years of experience within peacebuilding, so will be here with us today to talk some more about this topic. Tahir Saab, we can see that peace is a constant struggle globally. What does Conciliation Resources do to work towards global peace?
Well, thank you, Ilsa. It's nice to be here with SDPI's conference as well as interviewing with you. Conciliation Resources believes that conflict is an essential part of human civilization, human nature, but it becomes a problem when it becomes violent. So, as you said, world is continues to be fragile. So Conciliation Resources works with at global level in different parts of the world, with communities, with governments, with people affected by conflict, to prevent violence by involving them through dialogue opportunities, and also by creating opportunities and spaces for creative engagement, because it's a constant process, and as you say, it's very much linked with the sustainable development and getting out of fragility, as the theme of this conference aspires to do. It's a long-term process that needs investment in all human life sectors and avenues, and peace is also something that is an aspiration that involves social justice, it involves resolution of the conflict, it involves human development, but all these things happen in tandem. So Conciliation Resources has a geographical spread in different parts of the world where fragility, particularly between states and between violent political kind of groups, things have gone bad. And we work through dialogue, we work through creative new resolutions, we work with youth groups, we work with the lens of inclusivity and inclusion, because we think that without involving everybody, all the stakeholders, that is it's going to be difficult to get world peace. So we are contributing in a way in global fight against violence, but also in terms of global aspiration to get the sustainable development goals. And yeah, we can talk more about it if you have questions.
Thank you for that. Focusing a bit more specifically on South Asia, as I can see that you are the head of the South Asia department at Conciliation Resources, what work do you do to try and make a better relationship between India and Pakistan?
Well, it's been a long-standing engagement for us. We have spent around 20 years in this region, and when it comes to India and Pakistan, the bigger political issue is of Kashmir, and we know it's been a very long-standing one, 75 years after partition, and it's about inclusion of Kashmiris in the peace process as well. And of course, India and Pakistan continue to contest each other over Kashmir, and it's a conflict of deep-seated identity problems, but also geostrategic reasons, and you can go on and on in terms of what actually underpins the conflict, but it's a sustaining one. It's keeping the region back, and without its resolution, it seems difficult. So we have invested a lot of time in terms of providing opportunities to both countries, to the civil society, to policy makers, to people who actually are trying to resolve this issue within Kashmir on both sides of the line of control, but also between New Delhi and Islamabad. And we continue to provide a safe space for dialogue, you know, we believe that fundamentally a political resolution of this issue will emerge from the region between Indians and Pakistanis, but also by involving Kashmiri people who are first and foremost sort of party to this conflict. But apart from that, we also try to bring in creative new spaces by bilateral relations to improve, to collaborate around climate change issues, to collaborate around trade, and to also combat economic issues by cooperating. So it's a kind of quite a sort of a long-standing, bigger initiative that we have had, and we continue to do that. And we hope that sort of our efforts will contribute in whatever smaller way in bringing these two countries closer.
Thank you. So, kind of expanding on your last point, how can the peace building initiatives that you have in South Asia, how could they integrate climate resilience and sustainable resource management to help prevent conflicts over natural resources such as land and water in South Asia?
Well, this is in today's world, it has always been very important, but now, as we know, the consciousness around climate change and its impact is a globally recognized imperative. So South Asia is particularly vulnerable to climate crisis, and the geography of this region, particularly between India and Pakistan, is such that these issues are impacting both countries, and they don't necessarily respect borders. So water issue you mentioned is at a political level. They have a treaty to distribute the waters, but it is now facing new pressures by environmental changes through climate change. You see floodings in Pakistan, floodings in India. There is also scarcity of water, and the reports are suggesting that the continuous if they continue to use the water that the way they use, it's going to become more and more scarce. Similarly, you have smog issues between the two sides of Punjab, and also between New Delhi and Lahore. There are disasters that impact both countries. So I think it's a very kind of important thing for both countries to come together, to put their energies together to combat issues around environmental degradation and also the climate change impact. And that's what we have been trying to explore by bringing in experts from environmental background, climate change background, but also we know that the relationship between the two countries are not ideal, so you have to have a political dialogue and political space for that. And that's what we have been trying to do through our relationship on both sides. And I think we are seeing some development in that direction. You might have seen in the media that both Pakistan and the leadership from Pakistan as well as from India has recently spoken about collaboration in defeating smog. And I think it's a very good start, but there is so much that needs to be done, and that will also pave the way through confidence building between the two countries for resolution of political issues. And I think that's very much interdependent, interlinked issue that needs climate action, but it also needs to have political transformation. And that's what I think at the center of conciliation resources efforts.
Thank you so much for talking to us about what Conciliation Resources does and about the connection that peace building has with sustainable development. That's all for now. Thank you.